Apple will take a rare shareholder grilling about free speech after it removed a map app used by Hong Kong protesters. So before we get into this article, everybody at home, keep in mind this is just commentary. This is not any type of investment advice. Secondly, make sure to like, subscribe, or share this type of stuff if you like it. And third, if you like what we're doing here and you like Chelsea and Bruce and myself, consider giving us a call or come and swing and by and seeing us. We do wealth management services for all of our clients here at Ravenna Capital. So I'm going to read this first couple of pieces from the top of this article here. Apple is under fire right now. They are facing internal conflict with shareholders over its human rights policies, and it's mainly coming from there is an activist group working for the consumer advocacy group Some of Us, and what they have done is they're upset because it says here Apple was widely criticized for blocking a mapping app that allowed Hong Kong protesters to track the police, with critics suggesting the firm had kowtowed to Beijing. So I picked this one out, but I'm going to ask you guys to start off with this one. So Chelsea, what did you gather from this article here?
I guess I can't. I guess I'm on the opposite side.
You're on Apple's side?
I'm on Apple's side because if they have this app that can track police presence, then you can track where the police aren't present. So if there's major crimes that are committed and the people that are committing those crimes are using the app to track the police, could Apple then be at fault? So then maybe they're doing a good thing by taking the ability to use the app away from the protesters if the protesters are actually going to cause crimes, or anybody that's going to cause a crime. But
that is what it says. Actually, the CEO Tim Cook in the article said they had, like, it's
a safety precaution. Like, people are being victimized because they know where the police are and where they aren't. So therefore they can go and commit crimes where the police aren't.
And that's what Tim Cook, the CEO, said. They had credible evidence that this app was being abused for that same purpose.
So I think personally it's a good thing, not necessarily if it's just a China thing, like if this was happening in America, where Apple's app was able to track police presence in America and all these crimes were happening in America, people could essentially trail back and go to Apple and say, you're at fault because you told us where the police were and where they weren't, so I committed a crime. I think it's just a slippery slope, but I think Apple did a good thing by taking it off.
Well, now, it also said in the article that this is only one of over 600 different apps that have been removed just this year.
Yeah. I think that I think they're trying to be a little bit more
preventative
and get ahead of it before it becomes something super big.
Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with Chelsea on this.
You do?
One. I do. Gosh, I really do. Yes. No, not the first time ever. That's maybe the second. But we also get to a slippery slope when all of these different apps that we come through here in the United States, and we think everybody in the world should act the same way that we act, and different countries around the world have different rules, different regulations, and just because we want it done our way doesn't mean that these companies can do it exactly the same way in a different country. You still have to look at the laws, and we still have to remember that China is a communist country, and they do have their thumb on their people. So it's tough for Apple to go in there. They want to sell a product, but they also have to appreciate the fact that the country still has control over what they want and what they don't want.
That's actually what some of the activists said here. Let's see. Oh yeah, by complying with the government of China's regime, Apple is aiding the brutal repression of Uyghurs, Tibetans, and other rights activists. Our motion would force Apple to stand accountable for the impact of its decisions on the lives of innocent people. Until the corporation changes how it does business in China, it will remain complicit in some of the most brutal human rights abuses in the world today. And that's going in line with what's going on in all the protesters in Hong Kong. Do you guys agree with that or disagree?
I don't get how it can be a human rights issue when the only thing that they're discussing with this one app is where the police are.
Well, so
how is it a human right to know where the police are?
Well, because I guess Yeah, so okay. Now that was
I mean, maybe I'm
specifically
getting too far into it, but
And
Well-
maybe they are too, and maybe we're hearing arguments, and they're trying to extend it to things that maybe haven't quite gotten there yet, but they're concerned that it could go there.
because the app is for what's going on in Hong Kong,
Right.
but she's talking about what's going on in northern China, where these northern Chinese people who are small villagers and whatnot are being thrown into like concentration camps. Anyway, okay, so aside from that part of it, the human rights aspect, I really like this one because you don't see this very often, actually, almost ever, but it's cool because of something almost nobody knows about: proxy votes. And these publicly traded companies, you get a letter in the mail. If you've owned enough shares and for long enough time, they'll mail you and it says, hey, these are the big issues. Do you want to vote? Sign it and send it back. What a lot of people don't realize, and what this group is taking advantage of, is if someone, an activist or someone with a loud enough platform, could get enough people to mail their proxy vote to them directly, that person could go to Apple like this and say, I have this many proxy votes. You are required by your rules to allow me to speak, not necessarily make material changes. But I think that's a really cool thing. I hope a lot of the other people that just sit around and just complain, hopefully this gets to, who knows, maybe they'll never hear about it. But it's a really cool way for people who think they have no voice in corporate America to, at least in this case, be able to stand up in front of one of the largest companies in the world and say, hey, we don't like that you're doing this to all these oppressed people. And it's a almost like a backdoor way that the big companies have to allow you to stand up there and say whatever you want to.
Are we now then saying that a corporation should then tell a country how they have to act?
Well, no, but that's already kind of happened, don't you think?
No, I think what this is doing is saying, if China doesn't act in an appropriate way, then you're not getting our service. And at what point does the country have control? Or let's turn it around. Let's just say it's coming to the United States, and let's say that Apple tells the United States, oh, we're not going to sell this if you don't do it our way.
Yeah, they can.
It's a different sort of, take a different spin on it. And I think we're all looking at this as a human rights issue, but it could become a bigger issue than that down the road. We just have to be really careful. It's a slippery slope, just like Chelsea said at the very beginning.
Interesting. So yeah, we'll see what happens here. We'll see if anybody catches on to this idea of a proxy vote by way of activism. We'll see how Apple decides to continue. Like this kind of also goes back to the NBA drama of a couple months ago, where the NBA makes so much money in China.
right.
And so they're telling their players, you go to China, you play basketball, and you shut up. And that's kind of what Apple's doing here, where they want to make money in China, but they're also kind of playing. So we'll see how this little government versus private corporation thing,
So you're saying that Apple needs to change their way, but the NBA doesn't?
No.
Or are you saying that?
No, I don't really care. I'm saying it's really cool that these activists have realized that through proxy votes, you can stand up in front of the largest company in the world.
Regardless of the article.
Right.
Yeah, regardless of the
Feeling.
Right.
Yeah, regardless of the issue,
Yeah.
that people are realizing, oh wow, because this is one of the things that guy Saul Alinsky, that radical community organizer in the 60s, this is what he wrote about. One of his ways of making change is proxy votes. And strangely enough, even though you may not see it directly, a lot of his rules for radicals are still being used today, but nobody's taking this one until now. But I don't know what to say about who should change. Should the company change? Should the government change? Should neither of them change? I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, that's a tough conversation, because like you've got a protest, for example, this here, protesters in Hong Kong who just want their freedom from China, who are taking them out in the middle of the night and throwing them in Chinese jails to never be heard from again, and that type of thing. And they're trying to make a service here where they can keep each other in the loop, but then you have a private company that's kind of being pressured by China to take it away. So who knows? Yeah, but here's a question. Have we seen this happen before? Are there examples in the past where a large government and a large company have had to hash out such a important topic before?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm not old enough to know.
I'm sure there have been. If we would just do a little bit of homework, we would probably find something just like that.
I guess yeah. So actually, I can think of probably like the times when, what was the banana company that paid the U.S. government to go through Central America and wipe out all of the Central American farmers so the banana companies could. That was like in the 19-teens.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's enough on this topic for the moment. I don't. You guys have anything else you wanted to close on? No. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Tune in later. Thanks. See ya.